Welcome, everyone. It is the morning after the presidential debate, the first presidential debate between candidates Donald Trump and Joe Biden here in the United States. I am honored to be talking to Anne-Marie Waters in Great Britain. She is a British politician or ex-politician. We never know, and she won't answer that question clearly when asked. However, I'm so honored to be with her, not necessarily to talk about a political analysis of the election, but nonetheless to understand her perspective in the context of the upcoming release of a paperback of a book she wrote in 2020, before January 6th, in defense of democracy. Welcome to the studio, Anne-Marie Waters.
Hi, Wade. Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
So you're publishing a book on the topic of in defense of democracy. Well, you published it in 2020, presciently, ahead of your time, clearly pointing out the challenge, the turbulent waters that were ahead. And now here we are with this embarrassing show of petty accusations being flung at each other by the two presidential candidates in vying with one another to become the next president of the United States. You and I, in different ways, both try to stand apart from partisan politics, especially you these days, and me for religious reasons. But tell me, what is your reaction to this in light of your upcoming release of the paperback of your book on July 4th, the American Independence Day, from that oppressive evil power over across the pond?
Yes. What is my reaction? Oh Lord, it's alarming to me that, and I say this about Britain. I mean, we've got a general election coming up on July 4th in the UK, so we're being subjected to debates as well, if you can call them that. We've got Rishi Sunak versus Keir Starmer, and I would say exactly the same about those two as I will say about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. These are mud slinging. I mean, both of them claim to have the best economy ever in the history of the United States. Both of them claimed to have the best healthcare ever in the history of the United States. Both of them claimed to treat military personnel better than any other president ever has in the history of the United States. This was the level, and I'm sorry, but I think this across the board. This is not intelligent policy, intelligent thought. These are not. I am uncomfortable as a citizen of Western civilization with the idea, frankly, that either of those two men would lead the free world. There is no commitment to genuine democracy and freedom from either side that I can see. I tend, as I'm against mass immigration, so I tend to veer, of course, towards Donald Trump. But preferably, if I were an American, and I know that many Americans feel this way, I would prefer it was neither of them. I would like to see a candidate stand up here who understands the importance of America, who understands what the Constitution is, why it was written as it was, why it contains what it contains, and a firm defense of that Constitution. I want to know someone who is intelligent and understands that Constitution. I want to see someone who understands America's responsibility as a world leader. I want to see someone who thinks. I don't want to hear, I had the best economy in the history of the United States. This is not the caliber, and it's exactly the same here, don't get me wrong, I mean no offense. This is not the caliber of person I would like to see leading the free world. And if I look at the United Kingdom, similar. It is the same. It is trading insults. It is empty slogans. It demonstrates a lack of thought and commitment to genuine freedom and democracy. And I'm worried about the future of the Western world when people of this caliber, and I think many of them lack intelligence in comparison to the people they govern. A lot of the people they govern are both more intelligent and have higher moral standards than the people who lead us. That worries me, and I think that's a part of the loss of democracy has led to that. We don't live in a democracy. It comes from the Greek demos kratos, rule of the people. This is not the rule of the people. This is people being lied to, deceived by a corrupt political class, by a corrupt media. And like I say, we are ruled over by people with lower moral standards and lower intellectual capacity than many of the people they govern. That is not I'm not comfortable with that. And that last night's debate demonstrated again that it's not the caliber it ought to be, to me.
Well, thank you. There's a lot to unpack there, and we will unpack that on July 16th when you appear in on the Created the Image of God, which will probably be, well, we're going to pre-record that show because of the time difference. But everyone should tune into that, and we may go a little bit longer. Let me just add a couple of thoughts to that. You so eloquently pointed out in just a few short seconds the key issues here. And I would submit that the establishment of the Constitution, which you said whoever ends up being president needs to understand and defend, was intended to be a form of governance, to your point, by the people, which put a steady hand at the helm of the ship of state, such that the American people could decide after 4 years, we need to tack a little bit more to the right, or we need to tack a little bit more to the left. And we're going to hand this off now to a person who is going to help us expand or help us consolidate, which are two different kinds of activities. Somebody who's going to help us in time of war, somebody who's going to help us in time of peace, somebody who's going to help us in times of robust economic growth, somebody's going to help us in terms of, hey, throttling it back a little bit and dealing with, so for them to each claim that they personally are responsible for their 4 short years of tenure, that they somehow created the best economy in the world. Maybe they're both right, or maybe they're both wrong, but neither one gets to claim the credit for it and blame the other person, because it was supposed to be a peaceful handoff of power and a recognition that we're in this together. So while we have to defend democracy, it doesn't come through demonizing the other side. Would you agree with that?
I think criticism is obviously legitimate, but demonization, the very word suggests inaccurate, lie. So I would agree, yes, but criticism is legitimate, demonization is not. I guess that would be how I'd sum it up.
Well, thank you so much. We look forward to getting into a deeper dive on these topics for the show that will air on the 16th. And congratulations on the publication of the paperback version of your Prescient Ahead of Its Time book. The time is now for that. And we look forward to seeing what it will do on July 4th.